This podcast is a part of the Podmania podcasting network. Check out podmania.co.uk to check out more of our great podcasts, features, reviews, match ratings and previews spanning the crazy and diverse world of professional wrestling. Hello guys and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly or sort of audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom right here on the Podmania Podcasting Network. We're back, motherfuckers! Chris, how are you?
If I may speak freely for a second, sit down. What was that weak-ass shit you were spewing on Twitter last week?
The weak ass shit I was spewing. Oh God, did I get drunk and tweet people again?
So I put out a poll where there was a bit of an argument in the Podmania chat over what the best Toy Story. Rob and Garth think Toy Story 1 because they're cowards.
No, we think Toy Story 1 because it's the correct choice.
I said if I may speak freely, I have the floor. So, and I was like, okay, I'll take this to Twitter. Toy Story 1 lost, by the way. But Rob's out there going, "Oh, I'm afraid I can't be civil with you if you say anything but Toy Story 1. Civil? What sort of weak-ass bullshit is that? Do you know how much of a fucking cop caller you sound like? Like, oh, a bit of marijuana. I need to call the police and also my mummy to tell her that I haven't been smoking marijuana. That's you. That's what you sound like.
Jesus, I didn't realise you felt so strongly about this.
Since when the fuck have you been civil? What weak ass bull? And suddenly Toy Story's the topic of conversation, and you're like, "Oh, I'm afraid I can't be civil." Fucking weak ass bullshit, right? I expected better of you, Goodwin. Cop caller.
Wow. I genuinely didn't realise you felt so strongly about the way I use Twitter. But, seeing as you've said it now, if you think Toy Story 2 is better than Toy Story 1, you're an idiot, and you deserve a mildly irritating skin condition.
Toy Story 2 won the poll, by the way. Toy Story 1 came second, which I don't agree with. I do think 3 is better than 2.
Oh, fuck off, Chris!
It is! We confront death! It was a massive moment for me as a child.
What the fuck are you talking about? Toy Story 1 is a pioneering film. It's the film that every other animated film wishes it could be.
It is a very, very important film, and that's why it's so impressive that the other two films top it in every way.
Disagree.
And a lot of important films don't hold up to today's standards. That's fine. Like, you look at Birth of a Nation. That was a massive film. We don't watch the KKK movie anymore, do we?
You negate all of your arguments about films by putting Lost in Translation as high as it is.
Oh, where is it on my list again? Is it 9? I love Lost in Translation.
Fucking
it's a beautiful
9th.
film.
The shit that it beats out, Chris, in that list is fucking ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, it beats out a lot of films, but like I stress all the time, it's about my own personal enjoyment, that list, not what's critically good or bad, just what I enjoyed. And I really enjoyed Lost in Translation. I was watching it the whole time thinking, my God, Tokyo is a beautiful city. And it is a beautiful city.
I hate you. I do. I physically hate you. There is such strong hatred towards you at the moment. Such strong hatred.
Lord of the Rings is 28th, by the way.
Out of
50.
What's 50th?
Twilight.
Yeah, it is shit, isn't it? Fuck me.
Yeah, I watched it with my friend for my birthday. Because I wanted to watch it to laugh at.
Chris. Come and watch this pile of shit.
No, literally what happened. Like, obviously in February I couldn't go meet anyone. So she was like, "Hey, do you want to watch a movie on your birthday?" I'm like, "You know what? I absolutely would love to watch a movie." She was like, "It's your birthday, you can pick." I'm like, "Oh, bad move, buddy."
So hang on, you chose Twilight to watch?
Yeah, because I thought it would be fun to riff on.
The fuck is wrong with you?
It was fun to riff on. It's a really fun experience when you watch it with friends.
I mean, you've put it as 50th in your list, and it absolutely deserves to be there.
Oh yeah, it's objectively the worst film I've watched.
It deserves to be there, Chris, just for the line, "Hold on tight, Spider Monkey." Fuck off, Pattinson.
You're my own personal. You're my own personal brand of heroin. If a boy said that to me, all the red flags would be there. I'd probably still fall in love. I'm that kind of bitch. But yeah, red flags. Also, while I'm spewing some controversial opinions, I'm very neutral on the first Terminator. The sequel's great. I love the sequel, but the first
Correct.
Terminator is a bit. I don't know. There's just so many weird things in it. Like the thing that makes Sarah Connor want to sleep with Reese is the fact that he was like, "Oh, I wanked over you in the future," and that worked on it, and they fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a bit weird.
It's my opening gambit to most women. I'll just walk up to them and go, I had a wank over you, and it works like 21% of the time.
Also, I've been meaning to ask Garth this because there's a scene where someone's having sex while listening to a Walkman. I want to know if that's just what sex was like back in the 80s.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
And like all the effects are like really, really, really impressive for the time. Like incredibly impressive. Like we have one thing that looks good by today's standards, like the plot, like the acting and everything else. That's what falls apart for it, unfortunately.
Yeah, Terminator 2 is one of those films where, people will class it as one of the best sort of sci-fi action films. And Terminator 1 is not a bad film. It's
an okay film.
It sets up a better film is basically what it's there for.
Yeah, like...
if you say Toy Story, I'm going to hit you.
I didn't say anything about Toy Story.
I thought you were going to say it's like Toy Story, and I was about to go mental.
No, it feels like an hour and a half. I think Toy Story holds up a lot better than the original Terminator. Toy Story 1 is 15th on my list. I mean, Toy Story 2 is 11th, but
The fact that Lost in Translation beats them both is fucking ridiculous, Chris.
I love Lost in Translation.
You're an idiot.
I'm not an idiot. Lots of people are Lost in Translation as two of the best actors of various generations in Scarlett Johansson and Bill Murray.
Of various generations.
Yeah, I realise we're very different generations. That's kind of the point. Like the setting is great. It kind of does meander around, but I think that's part of the charm. And like the ending made me cry. Fight me.
I'm not going to fight you about it.
Garth might.
What do you think he whispers into her ear?
Have you got any money for this cab?
I've lost my wallet.
You should probably get tested.
You know that meme of the girl who looks thoroughly put out in that club and the bloke that's whispering in her ear? And
yeah.
And then you've got stuff like, and then Undertaker threw mankind off the cell, and JR called "My the love of mankind," stuff like that. I can just imagine it's something like that. And then Roman Reigns turned heel. Just imagine if that was the kind of shit that he said about her. Oh, incredible.
I really wish I went to Corrigan Hall. I'm impressed, Rob. We haven't had a podcast in 5-6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Stardom podcast, and we've 10 minutes in, and we've not talked about Stardom yet.
No, that's correct. But I do, whenever we do, especially the Stardom cast, the Podmania podcast needs to be a little bit more on point because we've got Garth there as a buffer. But on this podcast especially, I just tend to let you talk yourself into a bit of tiredness before I start the Stardom shit, just so that you're easier to deal with. Because otherwise, fucking hell, you're all over the place like a bouncy ball. You're like Flubber. It's ridiculous.
I've never seen Flubber.
Have you not? It's okay. No. It's okay. Robin Williams makes it, as you can expect.
I fucking love Robin Williams.
Oh,
Good Morning Vietnam. What a film.
What a fantastic film.
I've watched it in a few years, actually. I remember I got in trouble in school because they were like, okay, but mention, and this is when we were like 14 years old. And
when we were 14 years old.
Like my school, this is when you were about 25 or something. And when the teacher, we were learning about the Vietnam War, and the teacher was like, okay, everyone put a Vietnam movie in the hat. And I was at my brother's the weekend before that, and I'd seen Full Metal Jacket. Really fucking puts you off movies that when you're 14 years old, fucking Full Metal Jacket. And I put that in the hat, and I got in trouble because we're like, why have you seen Full Metal Jacket?
Just because you mentioned Aladdin earlier, and we spoke about Robin Williams. Did you know you've seen it, right? Aladdin?
Yeah, I've seen Aladdin.
Okay. Well, you can never be too sure with the kind of shit you've actually seen. You know the intro bit with the market seller?
Mm-hmm.
I found out the other day that's voiced by Robin Williams, which I knew, but none of that is scripted. None of that is scripted at all. They just basically led him into a studio, put loads of stuff on a table, and went, "Have at Robin." Which is great.
What I love, one of my favorite facts about that film is the fact that Robin Williams took a lower pay, but as long as he wouldn't get credited, because he didn't want to be credited on it. But then they were like, "No, we're going to push Robin Williams anyway." Because Disney fucking suck.
Disney do fucking suck. Anyway, we probably should talk about some Stardom, Chris. You know, it is why we're here. We apologise for the delay in releasing another episode. I'm going to take responsibility for this one. I'll take the hit on this. I've been in an absolute funk recently with personal stuff, so trying to catch up on Stardom was quite low down the priority list, I'm not going to lie.
Also, most of it was just road to shows that we're not even talking about on this podcast.
Well, the thing was, I was trying to sort stuff out, and then when I came back to actually trying to catch up on Stardom, they'd released an absolute litany of shows, so it was very difficult to catch up.
I had sympathy for hardcore New Japan fans for a second, and then I realised the hardcore fans were a really shit organisation, so I lost that sympathy very quickly.
You just have to get it in, don't you? You just have to get it in every podcast.
Fuck Nooch.
Fuck Nooch. So yeah, basically the way we're going to structure the podcast today is we're going to open, once we've gone through a bit of admin and newsy bits, we'll talk about the Hanakimura Memorial Show, which took place on the 23rd of May. Both of us have watched that. We'll talk and give our views on that. Then we'll talk about the second night of the Cinderella Tournament, which saw the second round matches and the quarterfinal matches. In terms of the Road to shows, the shows that all took place over Golden Week, and basically the shows that took place between the first night of the Cinderella and to where we are now, we're not going to go through every single show. You might think you want us to do that, but trust me, you fucking don't. So what we're going to do is we've watched a selection of matches from over that period, and we'll sort of talk about a couple of the matches that have been on those cards. Then we'll look ahead to the next Korakuen show, which I believe is the 8th of June. And then following that, we're also going to have a look at the card for the newly moved Tokyo Dream Cinderella 2021 special edition.
Where's it been moved to?
Where?
Yeah.
No, it's still the Ota Ward City Gym.
Oh, the date moved.
The date's been moved, yeah. Because originally it was supposed to be the 29th of May, but obviously the state of emergency in Japan got extended. It wasn't Stardom's decision, it was apparently the venues. So they've moved it to the 12th of June, which is fine. You know, it's not massively out of anyone's pocket, so it's not a huge thing. But yeah, we'll start with just a couple of bits of news. We're going to start with Sayurida and the future of Stardom Championship. Unfortunately, Sayurida, the injury that she sustained will now keep her out for the remainder of the year, it's looking like, and into 2022. And therefore, she relinquished the future of Stardom Championship. It's been held as vacant. And Stardom announced that basically there's going to be a tournament to crown the new future of Stardom champion. The competitors are as follows. We have got Rina, Ruaka, Hanan, Hina, Lady C, Mina Shirakawa, and Unagi Sayaka. Chris, out of those competitors, obviously we've had two of those matches, and we'll talk in a little bit of detail about the two matches that have already happened. Who do you see holding the belt there? Or who would you like to see, should I say?
Probably Mina. Like, out of that lot, it's either Mina Ruaka, who's out because Mina beat her.
Yeah.
I guess Unagi. I'm not as mad on Unagi as a lot of people are, so probably Mina, just to avoid one of the kids having to have a responsibility of a championship.
I think if they were to choose a kid to hold it, I would like Hanan to hold it. Just because
she had a good fight. No, it wasn't 5-star. No, she wasn't a 5-star.
Hanan?
Yeah, no, she wasn't. It was Tag League. I'm stupid.
Yeah, it was Tag League. Ironically, with Sayarida as part of Wingori. They were a real surprise package in that tournament, really. And that was when I personally started to sit up and take a little bit of notice of her. And I think since she's come back, she's looked good. She's looked solid.
She's had a growth spurt.
She's had a growth spurt, so she's now 15 foot tall. I'd like to see Hanan hold it. I don't think she will, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think you're right. I think it's probably going to be Mina. I don't think it'll be Unagi, simply because they are pushing Unagi in the actual Cinderella tournament itself. It would make sense to give the rub to Mina, especially as, Cosmic Angels are Stardom's pet project at the moment and they're trying to push him. It would make sense for Mina to hold it. Either way, obviously we wish Sayarida the best. Hope she gets better soon, because she's another one that was massively improving at her rate of knots, especially this year in 2021. She's really, really ramped it up. And it's a real shame. It's never a good time to get injured, but it was one of the worst possible times it could have happened for her. I believe she's had the operation. She did post on her Instagram on the 23rd just a picture of the sky with a quote for Hana, which I thought was really, really nice. Speaking of injuries, because apparently just injuries are absolutely rife at the moment, it's been reported that Himika is going to be out for the next couple of dates. So currently, it was reported on the Twitter account that Himika's going to be absent to heal some injuries. So she's going to miss the 22nd and 23rd shows. Those have already happened. June the 5th in Nagata, June 6th in Kanazawa, and she is going to miss the 8th of June at Korakuen Hall. However, she is going to be, apparently, fingers crossed, she is going to be available to wrestle her Cinderella Tournament semi-final at the Otaward City Gym. So that's good news, Chris.
Yeah, it's good news. I'd rather have someone take a small amount of time off to heal an injury before it becomes something that needs to be seen to permanently, or in the worst case scenario, fucks you up long term. See Okada for that one. And Naito. Honestly, just all of New Japan's main events.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, look at Hiromu.
Poor baby boy.
Oh no, we miss him so much.
He doesn't deserve to be that company. They abuse the fuck out of him.
It's the right call, 100% the right call.
Yeah, especially since she's not overly critical to any feuds right now.
Going forward,
So she'd just be in Vera's DDM muscle, which the rest of DDM, with the exception of Natsupoi, are more than fit to provide. So
yeah, they're more than capable of holding their own. And, I've just read out those dates. The only real major show that she'd be missing is the Korakuen show. But
is that where the Cinderella finals are happening?
No, the Cinderella finals are happening. The semis and the final are both happening at Tokyo Dream Cinderella.
Great fucking month for that
one. So yeah, we've she's not going to miss anything major, and with us having the big Tokyo Dream show just around the corner from the Korakuen show, nothing major is going to happen in that Korakuen. We're not going to have any titles change hands. I wouldn't have thought. I think there's only one title match on that card anyway. So, and it's a high speed championship match. So it will be irrelevant to Tokyo Dream anyway. Don't get excited.
I just realized it's been a while since we've had a high speed match.
The last high speed match was Natsupoi and Starlight, yeah. Which was good, really good,
very good.
But yeah, that was a while ago. That was before Yokohama Dream, I think.
To be fair, I guess in terms of the style of short, fast matches, Cinderella's sort of been filling that void.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was nice to see as well that we weren't wrestling ridiculously long matches or trying to get to the time limit.
Well,
the time limit wasn't really an issue.
No. Hang on. We're skipping ahead here. What was the longest match?
There was one that was 8 minutes, but I can't remember. I think it was...
Utami and Mina went 8 minutes. That was a bit long for a Mina. I'm on the wrong...
I was just going to say.
Yeah, I'm on the wrong...
That's the wrong show, Chris.
Yokohama jeans. There's so many fucking... There we go. Yeah, Unagi and Shiri went, what is it with making the fucking Cosmic Angels go long? Stop it.
To be fair, we'll talk about that show in a moment. We'll come to all this. I'm sure we've got plenty to discuss from that show. I want to start with the Hanakimura Memorial Show, Matane, which aired on Fight TV on the 23rd of May 2021. From Korakuen Hall, it was a sellout, 714 people. If you watched it on Fight TV, there was English commentary provided by the Ring of Honor team of Ian Riccoboni and Cheeseburger, who I must admit...
World famous CB, excuse me.
World famous CB, I apologise. I actually thought, considering they aren't overly familiar with the Stardom roster, never mind the wide-ranging Japanese talent that was on this show. I think they said there was something like 11 different promotions represented on this show. I thought they did. Yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job.
And they know more than you'd think, because they, at the end of the day, they're both wrestling fans.
Absolutely.
And Cheeseburger has had several tours in Japan, hasn't he?
He's been part of New Japan tours, and he's been hugely over in Japan as well, weirdly.
Because there was no need to fucking bury Cheeseburger.
I didn't mean to bury Cheeseburger, I'm sorry. But yeah, this show as a whole, Chris, did you watch English commentary or did you have the Japanese commentary?
Yeah, I watched English commentary. I love some of the stories we told about, because Hana, of course, works in Ring of Honor, so we had some stories to tell, like her being sarcastic to Christopher Daniels, which just sounds hilarious.
The stories they told, they obviously knew her. It wasn't a case of, they were put on the show because, they're a good commentary team. They were put on because they're a good commentary team, but because they had experience with Hana, and that really came through, which I thought was really, really nice. I really enjoyed that.
And they didn't try to get over, there wasn't a single point where they tried to get Ring of Honor over. They just kept it relevant, which is good, because a lot of teams, when they have guests on, that guest will spend the time guessing over their project, and we realised that wasn't appropriate. So I'm just glad they realised that wouldn't have been an appropriate thing to do. It's weird, actually, saying that, talking about being appropriate, it's weird going into this show, because I feel weird coming into it with a critical eye, which I didn't when I watched it. But of course, we're here to talk about it. But that didn't end up being a problem, because I ended up enjoying every match on the card. Quite a lot.
This is something that I just wanted to bring up with you, because it's something that really irritated me. So, speaking of looking at this with a critical eye, ultimately, this is a celebration of Hanakimura. Hanakimura's life, her wide-reaching, just a beautiful soul, and...
Her best friend, some of her best friends were in the main event. Her favourite wrestler was in the opener.
It was just celebrating her life. Exactly.
Yeah, and then wrestlers from all over in the Irregular Battle Royal.
Exactly. Now, if you look at Cage Match, which is what we use a lot for our research, and
you're talking about the one guy who gave it a 5. Yeah, let's not voice his opinion.
I'm going to. I'm absolutely going to. Now, in my eyes, on a tribute show, where let's not forget that this wasn't just wrestling. Okay, you had the dance troupe at the start. The
DJ.
Exactly. All because it's what Hana loved, what Hana wanted to be part of. It's not just a wrestling show. It is a celebration. And basically, in this kind of show, you either go 10 because of how much that person's life has been celebrated, how well that person's life was celebrated, and Jesus Christ, they did a phenomenal job on this show. Or you don't rate it, because it's ultimately, even if the wrestling is horrendous, it doesn't matter, because ultimately this is not a show we're going to cast a critical eye on, because ultimately it's a celebration. So for the one person, and yes, I am going to read the comment because fuck off, you bell top. For someone to write, shows like this show how people rate on emotion, not on wrestling quality. And they've spelled quality wrong. As much as loved Hana and have deep respect for Kyoku, but the level of quality in ring was not there. I'm sorry, in the cold light of day, you know this to be true. Fuck off. Absolutely no need to write that.
Well, I will say on the emotion basis, I've said this a million times, wrestling matches don't happen in a bubble. Because at the end of the day, your investment in any kind of wrestling has to do with your relationship with the product. For example, if we were talking about something with a critical eye, and a Ring of Honor Pure Rules match, it's going to hit harder for me than it is for Rob, because I watch Ring of Honor and I notice the trends within Ring of Honor is just going to hit harder for me. Here, it really depends. Like, everyone watching this show were watching it because they had some form of connection to Hanakimura. And that's why stuff that's why the stuff on this show hit so hard for anyone who watched it, because it was kind of a way to say goodbye to a special talent. So not only is the way they've talked about the show here fairly inappropriate in some ways, in the way they ended it, it's very clear they're doing it for some weird kind of clout.
They've just written an unnecessarily incendiary comment. And you're absolutely right. I've reacted probably in the way that they wanted me to react.
So not only with some weird clout, when they say emotion over match quality, I think that's a fundamental misunderstanding of wrestling.
Also,
because when
what the fuck are they on about? Because those last two were really good matches.
Like, the opener was super good and fun and fluid.
Absolutely.
The Battle Royal, I always go out my way to say I don't rate Battle Royals because they're not matches in a more traditional sense. At the same time, that's probably my favourite Battle Royal all year. I had a smile on my face throughout the whole thing.
Exactly. They did it perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And because also I think what a lot of people end up forgetting about Hana is that she was a very comedic figure.
Exactly.
Like, she's a former Iron Man heavy metalweight champion in DDT, for Christ's sake. And then you have the 8-Man, which is probably my favourite multi-man all year. You have some of the best figures currently in Joshi. Just going at it hard to make a tribute for Hana, and then you had that treat that was a surprise main event. So, even as a show, in a bubble, I think this is a fun show. But again, the reason people are going to this aren't for a good night of wrestling, is to celebrate a figure. So, that person, yeah, they suck, but really, they're clearly stupid anyway. So I don't really want to give them any more time than we already have. We should probably just talk about the show.
It makes no sense, because even if this wrestling was bad, which it wasn't, it categorically wasn't bad wrestling. But even so, this show is about more than the wrestling. And to be perfectly honest, Chris, as we go through this card, I'm certainly not going to be casting a critical eye over it. I'm going to say the things that I enjoyed, which I'm sure you are as well.
Yeah, I have no I gave 3 of the 4 matches went on my match of the year thread. The other one, the only one that didn't is a Battle Royal, because I don't put Battle Royals on my thread. That's just a rule I have for it.
Yeah.
If it didn't, I would have been on there because it was a fucking hoot.
It was.
But in terms of I did give these matches ratings, but at the end of the day, that doesn't mean there's stuff wrong with this match. I'm just basically, I gave them ratings to help sort my spreadsheet. That's literally the only reason I gave any of these ratings. I'm not going to be saying the ratings I gave these matches out loud. If you listen to this podcast, you've definitely seen it. But if not, and you had that connection with Hanakimura, definitely watch this show. You should never go into a show like this with the only memorial show I think is appropriate to go in with a remotely critical eye anymore is the Baba one, and that's because we're so far removed from his death, and it's sort of just an annual wrestling festival at this point.
Yeah, completely. I agree.
But with something like this, or the Brody Lee show that AEW did last year, if you're going into it critically, I think you're going into it with the wrong mindset.
So the first match was a 6-man tag team match, which saw the team of Issa 8, Huber, and Shizu, I apologize if I've butchered that name, defeating Fuma, Mil Mongoose, and Shota in 15 minutes and 57 seconds.
I'm glad you said Hoover because I just keep thinking it's Hub.
Well, there was 2 different pronunciations that Riccoboni and Cheeseburger have used. So I've gone with Huber, which I believe is what Riccoboni was saying. He seemed to know the most about him. Obviously, he's or was Hannah's favourite wrestler, so I'm just going with that. Overall, Chris, this was really, really fun.
It was super fun. Have you seen any of these wrestlers before?
Well, actually, we have a question from our Discord that asks, obviously, they've become aware, the person on Discord, whose name I've completely forgotten, and I apologise, I'll look it up in a moment while Chris is talking. It's Papau, and they've said they discovered Okinawa wrestling because of the Hana Memorial Show, and asked if we'd seen any Okinawa wrestling. No,
I've not.
I haven't. I don't know. The only one I
pure.
know is Mil Mongoose, and that is because I've seen one All Japan match with him in, and that is the only thing I've seen.
I've seen Mil Mongoose. I recognise most of these people, like with the exception of the big guy who I've forgotten the name of.
Shizou?
Shizou, yeah.
Shizou? Shazam? I don't know.
I've seen most of these before. Shota I know because he wrestles for DDT.
Ah, right.
He wrestled, if you want a Shota recommendation, he wrestled Yuki Ueno in January for the Universal title. I'm in. This makes me interested in seeing all these guys because well, that's obviously not the mindset we went in for. They all made a great account of themselves here. That fucking finishing move was fucking insane.
That hangman bomb that Huber hit Mil Mongoose with was fucking unreal.
Absolutely ridiculous.
It was hit though so smoothly.
He's 42.
But it was how smoothly it happened. And I was like, fucking hell. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, there was high flying. There was really intricate mat wrestling at the start that actually had Cheeseburger saying, we should bring these over to the Pure Division for Ring of Honor.
So some of the lucha-inspired stuff was really good as well.
Really good. Really, really
good. This did play like a one of the sort of the touring Dragon Gate matches when we go somewhere that's not Dragon Gate.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of played off a bit like that, which is great because it's a fucking fun ride the whole time. There was no point where the match really slowed down. Like I didn't take notes for this for this show in general, but if I was taking notes, I wouldn't have been able to keep up.
No, but even like the little comedy bits between Fuma and Shizou or Shazam or whatever the hell his name is, that wasn't too drawn out. It played into the match and it was fun. You know, you had
Shota. I like his style because they said Eddie Guerrero inspired on commentary. Which, to be fair, I've had an inkling towards in a while because of how he dresses. But like, I love his sort of sleight of hand stuff, like the quick roll-ups.
He looks the spit of Chavo Guerrero.
He kind of does, doesn't he?
He looks the absolute spit of Chavo Guerrero.
I don't think the bandana helps. Yeah, this is just incredibly fun. Everyone had their roles clearly defined, and Hannah's favorite wrestler got the pin. So all the right beats in this one.
100%. I gave this 3 3/4, Chris, just because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Again, I'm not going to say any ratings I gave out loud because they're not important. If you really want to know, you can look on the Match of the Year thread.
You keep plugging that thread, Chris.
I'm not plugging
it. We then followed that with the Irregular Battle Royal, which, as me and Chris have already said, was tons of fun. It was won by Ram Kaicho, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. She's the one with the makeup. But is the best way for me to describe it.
He was the shortest competitor in this match. He's like 4'11" or something.
Yeah, it became really obvious when a couple of people came in. When Masato Tanaka came in, it became really obvious how small Ram was.
Yeah, when she was standing between Tanaka and Shima.
Yeah, exactly. And Shima's not massive.
No, we'll say all the like surprises in this were funny. Like you had zombies coming out with Andras, Miyagi. You had Lingerie Muto,
Lingerie Muto.
who is my new favorite wrestler.
An absolutely amazing Shining Wizard.
But he threw a better Shining Wizard than Muto has thrown in years. That was great. You had Hakushi coming out.
Yeah, Shinsei Shinzaki, Hakushi.
Yeah.
Without his tattoos, though, Chris. What the hell?
He didn't have the stencils, probably, or something.
Are you telling me those tattoos weren't real? What? What's the fuck?
We had Super Delphine coming out. Always great to see Delphine. Love Delphine.
I'd forgotten that he was even a thing. And then when he came out, I was like, I'm sure I recognise him from somewhere.
And then it was like, oh, Jacob. And it was because you told me to watch. Was it you? Someone told me to watch the final of the 1994 Super J-Cup. Delphine and Liger.
Yeah, and that was where I'd seen him from. So I was like, I'm sure I recognise this name. But I couldn't remember what from. So I'm crediting you with that. So well done.
Also famous for Osaka Pro stuff with Dick Togo is really good. Also appeared in DDT earlier this year in a match against it was him, Maki Ito, and Chris Brooks versus I forget who they were against, but it was funny.
Of course, we had Jun Kasai came in.
Yeah,
famous deathmatch wrestler, Freedoms, terrifying son of a bitch.
Shitara Ashino throwing some of his suplexes.
Jesus, that first one he threw after Kasai had signed that autograph.
Right.
My life. He went miles.
That's one thing I loved was the autograph signing.
That was brilliant. That was really funny.
Like one of the most legit people in the match as well. Just like, can I please have your autograph?
Oh, I wouldn't want his autograph just because he legitimately scares the shit out of me.
Probably sign it in blood, and you can't be overly certain whose blood it is.
I genuinely though, is he going to stab her with the pen? Because he held the pen for a bit longer than the actual autograph. I was like, surely he's not going to stab her in the hand with the pen. Surely.
You had Sakura Harata. I probably seen it. Sakura Harata coming out as Hana.
Yeah. Which
led to a funny spot of everyone trying to beat her up for being disrespectful and getting one of the mask guys caught in the middle every time.
I enjoyed.
By the way, very quick, a Kodama. The biggest heel of the whole thing, eliminating Hakushi so quickly.
I know, what a bastard.
And then Shima coming out and doing a fucking cane. And it's funny because they were trying to name where Shima was from, and it took them a while to remember that he performed for Gleet.
For Gleet, exactly. Which is a thing, Chris, and I don't know if you're ready to accept that yet.
I've already admitted it. People thinking that's old news, buddy.
There was some really nice moments. I thought Masato Tanaka coming out was great. I thought, obviously, Jun Kasai coming out was a big shock. Shinzaki coming out, it was overall, it was a really, really fun battle royal that didn't take itself too seriously, and basically, it celebrated that funny side of Hana, which you mentioned before, Chris. Ultimately, she was, everyone that spoke about her said she was full of laughter, full of fun, and this really embodied this. So overall, a really fun half an hour that really does fly by. Which...
Yeah, I didn't realize this was half an hour until I put on the cage match.
To be honest, to have a battle royal that isn't the Royal Rumble that can actually fly by, because both me and you, if you compare it to the All-Star Cinderella one,
we hated that.
We hated that. But if you compared it to this, it was straight away, it was comedy, straight away.
It didn't rely so much on Joshi references that went over our heads.
It never professed to be anything else either, did it?
Yeah.
Which is good. We then go to what was supposed to be the main event, which was an 8-woman tag team match with Asuka from Seedling, Miyamoto, Natsupoi, and Syuri, defeating the team of Tokyo Cyber Squad's Death Yama-san and Konami, and Kagetsu, and a surprise return for Hazuki, which was really nice to see.
Wasn't Hazuki meant to be someone else and then they had to pull out?
I don't know. I don't know if it was ever announced, but I know that Hazuki wasn't announced, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very quickly. Have you seen Asuka before?
I have, yes.
They're great, aren't they?
Honestly, I've seen her in 2 matches and she's been tremendous in
Oh,
both.
Clear up. Pronouns for Asuka are they, them, they're gender fluid.
Thank you very much. They are tremendous.
Yeah.
I've seen 2 matches with them in, and they were tremendous in both. So yeah, can't fault them at all.
Yeah, they're fucking great. but they always stand out in six mans like we did here. Like we have one of the best moonsaults to the outside going.
Yeah.
It was so nice to see that. It's weird seeing the Oedetai dance again because the show I started with Stardom was literally the show where they lost the dance. Like my first ever Stardom show was Queen's Quest versus Oedetai. If Queen's Quest win, Oedetai have to give up the dance. If Oedetai win, Queen's Quest had to give up the masks.
Well, I was robbed of Hazuki because my first Hazuki match that I saw was her retirement match.
Yeah, and then Kagetsu was gone a month later.
And then Kagetsu was gone a month later. So at least I got to see some Kagetsu matches. But I mean, here, we are lucky because you look at this time last year, and we were super down on Oedetai. We weren't the only ones. And thankfully, Oedetai have started to pick up a little bit. They are genuinely quite insane. Tora seems to have grown into a role. But seeing Hazuki and Kagetsu here, it made me realise how much I missed them.
Yeah, and I loved the little touch of the TTS colours on the Oedetai gear.
Yeah, it was really subtle on Hazuki's, wasn't it? It was really nice.
Yeah, and I do like the coincidence that the former TCS members were just so happen to be in Oedetai right now. I also love when Jungle ran in.
I enjoyed that. I did enjoy that.
Just running in, yes, sir. And then Konami's like, wait, I'm a heel. Get out of me. Well,
I did think that when it happened, when they all stood on whoever I can't remember exactly who it was, and they all did the yes, sir, and I was like, I'm sure they're not just going to ignore. And then Konami threw her out, which I thought was really good. You do have to be careful with Jungle, though. She is a way off recovery yet.
But otherwise, a lot of people sort of paired off. Sort of, obviously, Konami and Shuri paired off. Natsupoi spent a lot of time with Death because high speed. I say they paired off, but then sort of Asuka was going after everyone.
Yeah, but Asuka didn't actually spend as much time in the ring as a lot of other people, and that sort of, we find out why that is afterwards, but...
But, yeah, this match was just incredible fun. Like, they just kept going. I liked... Well, one thing I did like was Kagetsu was smiling the whole way through.
Oh, yeah, like 100%. She massively enjoyed being there.
That's so Kagetsu. Like, even when she's doing something fucking sadistic. I liked Asuka getting the big win.
Yeah. It didn't bury anyone because it was a roll-up reversal, but even so, And can we just say as well, Hazuki especially hasn't wrestled in 18 months.
Yeah, didn't lose a step.
Didn't lose it. Her and Kagetsu were doing fucking suicide dives.
Hazuki was moving as fast as she was when she was full-timer.
Exactly. I mean, Kagetsu ultimately, spoiler, would wrestle another match after this and would look great. She was hitting the Oedo coaster. She hit 3 suicide dives in a row in the next match. So she hasn't wrestled, yet hasn't lost a step. And they said on commentary, like, she could walk back into any promotion. And I've got a little bit, actually, that I want to talk about after we've reviewed this. But yeah, overall, this was a really fun, high-paced match. You had, like, say, the little pair-off between Syuri and Konami, which we've seen before, but, we're never going to get bored of. Everyone had their time to shine. Natsupoi was really quick in this match. I know she's quick anyway. She's a quick competitor. But that opening exchange, she was fucking rapid.
And it was like watching Sonic the Hedgehog in Smash Bros.
It was. Yeah, like Chris mentioned, Asuka gets the win over Hazuki after Hazuki tries to roll them up and they reverse it. 17 minutes and 57 seconds. There was a really nice moment that I forgot to mention earlier. Obviously, Kyoko was the initial leader of Uedatai alongside Kagetsu, and she got involved at one point for Uedatai. I thought that was great. I thought that little touch was great.
What's ref going to do? Disqualify her? For
exactly. It's her show. She's not going to get disqualified. Ultimately, afterwards, Asuka calls out Kagetsu for a match, and after they clear it with Kyoko, it's all ready, and we have what can only be described as a dream match.
Yeah. What we need to say quickly, Rob, was, do you want to tell the people what happened to you with this match?
Yes, I watched this show a couple of days ago, and didn't because it wasn't advertised. I thought the end of the eight woman was the end of the show, and I knew that there was going to be a video package, and I didn't know if I could sit through the video package, so I stopped it. And then this is another plug for your fucking Match of the Year thread. Because Chris had put this on his Match of the Year thread, I was like, Asuka versus Kagetsu? When the fuck did that happen? Oh, bloody hell. I didn't realise I'd forgotten this at the end, so I went back and watched it about 50 minutes ago? An hour ago?
Yeah. Like, turn up 10 minutes later to this podcast because of it.
But yeah, ultimately, this was where you realised that Kagetsu had not lost a step. She tired a little bit towards the end of the match, which is completely understandable.
To be fair, she wrestled combined over half an hour.
Exactly. So. And she was in the 8-woman tag a lot longer than Asuka was.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like, she was the main focus of the 8-woman tag because she was sort of the main draw. But that being said, it's still impressive that they both did big things in the 8-man.
Definitely.
But they still put on a main event worthy match out of nowhere.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and it wasn't like 10 layers deep. It kind of just banged for 10 minutes.
Genuinely, that closing stretch that lasted probably about 3 minutes.
What?
Where they just hit each other with fucking everything was great. It was great.
It was like the end of a Fire Pro match.
It was. It was a great closing stretch, and it just made me want to see Kagetsu again. To be perfectly honest,
I miss Kagetsu, and luckily Asuka's fucking everywhere nowadays, so you can see them everywhere.
Yeah, for those who don't know, they are Veni from AEW.
Yeah, and the AEW tournament also wrestles in Seedling, occasionally turns up in DDT. What else have we wrestled this year? Marvelous, 0-1. Oh, if you've seen that picture of them doing the moonsault, that's from 0-1.
Is that the outdoor one?
Yeah, next to the blossom tree.
That is, whoever took that photo deserves a raise. It was such a great image.
If they had a pound for every time someone took that, didn't credit them, and put it on Twitter, they'd be a millionaire.
But yeah, ultimately, Asuka gets the victory. Another really, really, really good match, and one that no one expected. Obviously, after that, we had a moment's silence. We had the 10-bell salute. I held it together, Chris, during the initial video package. So after this, we had a video package that sort of went through Hana's career. I struggled a little bit when they had Hana as a small child. That got me. But I was okay throughout the rest of the video package. And then they had Kyoko in the ring with the picture of Hana. And in the corner, they had the gear that Hana had designed, her brand new ring entrance that she'd designed before her death, that she'd basically commissioned to go and get done and made. And they had that in the corner of the ring, and just that. And then they cut to Jungle, who was doing the 10-bell salute on the 10-bell salute on the ring bell, and she was just in pieces. So yeah, I lost it at that point. That was the bit where I was like, oh my god, this is awful. But once they did that, they had another further package of wrestlers from absolutely everywhere just saying Matane, which of course means see you again, not goodbye. And you had everyone from Tajiri to Hikaru Shida to Kenny Omega to Keiji Muto to Keno to a litany of Joshi wrestlers. And then obviously it ended with Kyoko. And that was where I turned it off because by this point I was in floods. Ultimately, Chris, this was a beautiful send-off to a beautiful soul.
It sort of every match represented a different side. Hana, like her inspirations in the opener. A great send up to how comical she was as a person in the Battle Royal, and then some of her best friends and opponents in the main events. So,
and we had little nuances, little tributes throughout these matches. You had Azuki doing the boot through the ropes. You had Kagetsu trying to win the main event with the Hydrangea. It is worth noting that Stardom were running a show, obviously, quite controversially with most fans, somewhere else, and they had a moment's silence as well. And Mayu, who had a singles match with Julia, also locked in the Hydrangea as a tribute as well. So there was tributes throughout the Stardom show as well. But yeah, overall, this was so well put together. There was the really bad echo with the ring canvas mics and the mics they were speaking into. There was a really, really bad echo, really bad reverb. But to be honest, I didn't think that took away from it too much. It didn't affect my enjoyment of the show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was, and obviously we wish Kyoko every good wish we possibly can, and obviously rest in peace, Hana. So yeah, before we go on to the Cinderella tournament, I just wanted to talk about Kagetsu and Hazuki, because obviously, it's now going to be, I wonder if they'll ever come out of retirement. Well, they did an interview after this, and the wonderful person that is at 1222 Dragon Moon on Twitter, seriously, go and follow them. Their translations are amazing. Actually translated the interview, which is great. I'm not going to go through the entire interview. That would take me ages. But from what Kagetsu and Hazuki have said, Kagetsu has come out and said, no, this is still my final match. This is the end of my wrestling career. Today was my final match ever. She's working a job for a company. She hasn't been out in the media, though that might change. But she says she won't be coming out to wrestle again. However, Hazuki has basically said, well, maybe sometime in the future or maybe not. Let's just say it depends on everyone. She's having a much more flexible mind and making decisions accordingly. She's 23. So if she came back...
I hate it when talented people are younger than me.
I mean, if she comes back, she's still got a ridiculous amount of time in the business. Whether they do come back, I don't know. It seems that Kagetsu is done. Whether Hazuki comes back and whether Hazuki comes back to Stardom is obviously a little bit more up in the air. But I'm not going to speculate. I just thought that was a really, really interesting interview. If you want to go and read the interview that's been translated, go again to at 1222 Dragon Moon on Twitter. Their translations are always tremendous. But, Chris, let's talk more about Stardom. So, obviously, their Cinderella Tournament rolled on to its second day from Korakuen Hall from the 14th of May in front of 556 people. This was the second round and quarter finals of the tournament, with the semi-finals and the final taking place at the newly moved Tokyo Dream Cinderella Special Edition. We opened up with a Future of Stardom tournament match with Mina Shirakawa defeating Ruaka at 5 minutes and 1 second with a flying forearm. Chris, what do you think about this?
It was much better than some of its parts. I expected it to be shite because it's Mina and a child, but it turned out to be pretty good. Mina was harder hitting. than usual. As in the back fist didn't immediately make me want to retire. Ruaka is surprisingly good at big boots. I think. Like Ruaka's going to be a great bruiser once she's grown into it.
She's just mini Tora. That's all it is.
I don't want to typecast her like that because that's just a bit mean. But
she dresses like Tora, has a haircut like Tora, walks like Tora.
She doesn't dress exactly like Tora.
Well, no, not exactly, but it still looks like Tora.
Her hair, it definitely looks like she's discovered the pixies and cigarettes.
I remember those years.
First time you hear Do Little changes your fucking life.
That's a great album name, by the way, Pixies and Cigarettes.
The first album from a Podmania band coming soon. But the thing is with the Podmania band, we know who's playing guitar, who's playing bass, and who's playing drums. We just don't know who the fuck's singing.
No, that is a good point. We do.
We either need someone to hire someone who can sing or pay for one of us to sing. I think it should be Garth because it would be a nice novelty to have the drummer singing.
There is that. He does. I imagine he sings in a really thickly Geordie accent, though.
Oh, he's probably a baritone.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
He's definitely a baritone. It'd be so weird if he was soprano.
Just opens his mouth. I mean, yeah, I actually quite enjoyed this match for what it was. Mina continues to look crisp, growing every time she's in the ring. Her offense has become considerably better in the time she's been in Stardom. Ruaka continues to grow in the heel role. I think she suits being a heel. It suits her offense a little bit more than being a babyface. Like I said, that being that bruiser. I gave it 2 3/4 stars. Mina goes on into the tournament, which I think is a surprise to no one, Chris.
No, it wasn't. She wasn't going to be beaten by a child. And again, it's probably going to be Mina and a child in the final, unless we do Mina and Nagi. God, that would suck.
It'll be an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, it's very rarely you see two drowning fish fighting.
We then had a 4-way match, Natsupoi defeating Hanan and Lady C and Tam in 5 minutes and 17 seconds, and we had a 6-woman tag following that. A Wii Tai team of Fukigen Death, Konami and Tora defeating the Queen's Quest team of Azumi, Hina and Momo in 5 minutes 11 seconds.
Momo got buried.
Don't start.
I hold nothing but contempt for people who keep going, Momo's buried. I'm sick of seeing it on my timeline. If Momo's so good, if I was Momo and I was so good, I just wouldn't lose because I'm not a loser.
Wow.
Shoot on them, brother.
We moved back on to the Cinderella Tournament then. Second round match with Saya Kamatani defeating Starlight Kid at 7 minutes and 12 seconds, reversing a pin. Chris, what was your opinion?
Fucked so hard. Oh my god. It was so good.
It was. I can't disagree, mate. I thoroughly enjoyed this match.
Much in the same way the Momo match was, it was just a 7-minute finishing stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could have ended at any point. It's basically a high-speed match, but with the added element of you can win by going over the top rope. They started doing lucha shit and then just started wailing on each other. So there was still a sense of escalation, despite the fact they started at 1,000,000 miles an hour. They managed to get a win out without making either person look weak. Turns out you don't need half an hour draws to do that. Stardom. So good. So good. Up to that point, it was the best match of the tournament so far.
Yeah,
there's
definitely
not a lot to say though, because it kind of just fucks.
Well, they had a little bit of history, obviously, with Saya having beaten Starlight in the 5-star the previous year. It was a really energetic, athletic opening. There was ingenuity from both competitors. You got a really cool transition from Saya to get into the Muta lock. Starlight Kids did a really cool move to get into the sliced bread. There was a callback
where she was just sort of flipping around the ring.
Just flipping around the ring to find a corner.
Yeah, it's literally, oh shit, I'm in the wrong position. Okay, this is how we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't like that.
I thought she was doing with Destino for a second.
They didn't let that ruin the match, though, by any stretch. There was a great callback to the way that Saya eliminated Tam in the previous round, coming off of the springboard Hurricane Rana, but Starlight reversed it. There was a couple of sloppy moments in this match, but they covered very well for them. And ultimately, it was just a really, really, really fun match to watch. I gave it 3 3/4, Chris. I agree with you. It's one of the best matches of the tournament, if not the best match of the tournament. Until the next one, spoilers.
I give it 4, and I think it's basically tied with the next one. They're good for different reasons.
Speaking of the next match, match 5 was another second round Cinderella Tournament match with Maika defeating Julia at 7 minutes and 38 seconds via over-the-top rope elimination. I say over-the-top rope elimination, Chris. Fucking hell!
Yeah, we'll go on to that in a second, but the first thing I want to say is Maika should be the leader of DDM now because pulling off Julia's wig is a fucking power move. It was so casual too, just Julia's on the apron and she just walks up and tugs it off.
That is Maika style. It was hilarious.
Yeah, to be honest, this is probably Maika's best match ever for me.
Yeah, you didn't enjoy the Utami match as much as I did, did you?
I wasn't massive on the Utami match, but this I really enjoyed. They kind of just wailed on each other for several minutes, dropping each other in the head. Julia's backdrop is getting more and more vicious now that she doesn't have hair.
Mother of God.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking high, wasn't it?
There was this one, and then there was one in a match that we're going to talk about later on. Fucking hell.
Yeah, no. It's like, oh, you have a neck. I resent that.
And then there was a moment as well that Maika is hanging off the top turnbuckle.
Yeah, and she just straight up bumps onto it. Like,
hell.
on the back of it. Yeah.
Julia
and
just straight up stomps her.
Yeah, and that's basically how it ends too, but with Maika to Julia.
I don't know what on earth they were attempting here. Were they trying El Generico's ring post brainbuster or something?
You know what would have made this better? Is if just before Maika fell, no, just before Julia fell, rather, Maika just went, "Long live the king."
Goes full Lion King.
Yeah, and then very suddenly the entirety of Oeditai just stomped through and trample.
Yeah, Maika looks like she's going for a brain buster, and then I don't know whether she slips or if she hasn't got Julia right or whatever happens, but anyway, she drops her head first on the turnbuckle, splits her head open, and then just fucking belts her off the ring apron with a kick. Julia needed 5 stitches in her head afterwards, apparently. But yeah, this was hard hitting. It's the confidence in Maika. Obviously, you've got, these two have never faced off in singles competition before this. Maika's baying for blood after her and Himika's loss at Yokohama. Julia says if she wins, she's going after the white belt because she wants a belt back. But it was especially to begin with, Maika was out wrestling Julia. And I thought that was really cool, this newfound confidence that Maika's growing into with every match. And, Julia is the undisputed at the moment top of DDM. I'd love to see a power struggle between her and Maika. That would be so cool.
Again, just say long live the king, and with that, Natsupoi can go on like a journey through Japan, discovers 2 kind-hearted but bumbling Joshi wrestlers. There's more to see than can ever be seen, etc., etc., etc. People call it the best Disney movie ever, when in reality it's not. Aladdin is. Good times.
What did you give this, Chris?
4.
I also
really
gave it 4.
liked it.
Yeah, I also gave it 4. It speaks volumes about how well these two women worked together when there was no way getting around it. There was a massive botch at the end, and it still worked.
And it only went 7 minutes. I'm finding in my old age that increasingly I'm more impressed by short matches that fuck rather than it's easy to make a long match fuck because you're just gonna get there through pure volume, otherwise known as the Will Ospreay approach. but then in six, like for example, I think of like some of the best sub 10-minute matches this year was like Tam and Starlight, these two on this show, basically every high speed defense, and then a couple matches from Yukio Sakaguchi and DDT against Hiroshima and Yusuke Okada, and I'm like, yeah, sure, and like most of them have around the same ratings that I gave to Half Shit and Wrestle Kingdom, and I'm looking at them going, that's just more impressive, because at the end of the day, like take something like Okada versus Ospreay or White versus Ibushi, where I gave both of them 4, I believe, and then but like also they had so much time to work with and do stupid things, but then you have these matches going 7 and they're just as enjoyable.
Agreed. It takes a real skill to be able to tell a story in that short amount of time.
Because you saw it in the Champion Carnival last year. Yeah, a lot of... Not this year. This year they managed to make it work. But last year, if someone was given a short match, they just didn't seem to know how to pace it properly. It would end just as it would get going. Because apparently Kenta Miyahara was the only person they wanted to give time to. So it didn't work. But that's one of the things I love about Stardom. Because as we'll talk about later, when Stardom fuck with longer time frames, it doesn't really work. Like, I understand we've had long matches in the past about things like Io Shirai versus Mayu Matane, where like it makes sense that they'd go long. But like half the long matches in Stardom don't land properly. Like Tam versus Julia didn't land properly. That fucking tag match at Yokohama didn't land properly. Julia versus Shuri landed, but only just. So, like, this isn't a roster that seem overly comfortable going long in a lot of situations, but a lot of their best matches are short. So, all I'm saying is, it kind of shows that trying to Bushi Road up Stardom isn't a good idea, and they should just let Stardom be Stardom.
Okay. So, I'm not going to argue with you. I do agree. It's something that I do like about Stardom is the shorter time limits. And this tournament, this show, flies by because no match goes above 8 minutes. So it really does fly by.
It's a really fun match. It would have been like more fun if this was part of like an actual fucking one night 8-man tournament. But we can't have everything.
We can't have everything. I'm sorry, Chris.
Well, we can. It's just they don't like us anymore, Rob.
They don't like us anymore.
We're not coming back. They're not going to get cigarettes, Rob. They're in Tahiti.
Wow, Jesus. Match 6 then, Cinderella second round match with Syuri defeating Utami at 6 minutes and 17 seconds via over the top rope. This is a prelude to what we assume is going to be the main event of Tokyo Dream for the red belt.
Yeah, and as such, it was kind of just there.
Well,
like it was there to set up their dynamic, and most of this 6 minutes are filler, and then the ending was really fucking good.
Well,
the ending was great. Jesus Christ!
It's the only match, really, especially on this show, where they still opened as though this was a match with no time limit.
Yeah,
all the other matches with the Cinderella Tournament time limit wrestle a quicker style, especially initially. They go hard. Look at the Mayu versus Himika match.
And they're working to get people over the top rope as well as going for pins.
Exactly.
And if they're going for pins, chances are it's a flash pin.
But here they started with mat and chain wrestling, which
is what Utami and Shuri do, which I get, but also that was really annoying. I found that really annoying last year when Utami and Micah did it, because it's like, that's not. It makes for a good match, but it doesn't make for a good Cinderella match.
They've used it here as a prelude for me, and they're two competitors that don't want to give too much away in terms of their future match, so it actually makes sense if you think about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not blaming this match for not giving a ton away, seeing how they're running this match in a bigger venue soon. But also it did mean this match suffered again, with the exception of the ending, which was. There was a German suplex on the apron, which I don't know if you know this, Rob, is the hardest part of the ring.
I've heard rumours. That it is.
Yeah, I knew this because, not to brag, I DM William Regal sometimes, and he informed me that it's the hardest part.
You and Willie Reeks.
Yeah, big old like I was like,
Willie
hey man,
Reeks.
yeah, I was I just messaged him when I was in Blackpool recently, and I was like, hey Billiam, I understand you have a show tonight, but want to meet up at Westminster, and unfortunately couldn't. But we chat on the regs, me and Billiam. We mostly talk about Doctor Who. So
yeah, obviously. This does escalate to a fucking great closing sequence. Like you mentioned, Chris, that released German suplex Utami hits on Syuri on the apron. Fucking hell. And then Syuri responds by decapitating Utami with a running knee to end up winning with the via over the top rope elimination, going on to face Unagi in the quarterfinal.
Main event Unagi is a choice.
Yeah. We'll go into that in a moment. I gave this 3.5, Chris.
Did I rate? I forgot to rate.
Just go with mine then. Fuck it. Just go with mine, Chris. Just say I'm right. Go on. Say I'm right.
If I had to rate on the spot, I'd probably go a bit lower. I'd probably go 3.25.
You're just being a cunt on purpose.
I'm not being a cunt on purpose.
Why are you being a cunt on purpose?
We have very distinctly different rating styles.
We do. Match 7 then, the semi-main saw the first quarter-final match with Himika defeating Mayu Iwatani at 6 minutes and 14 seconds via over-the-top rope elimination. Mayu has a bye into the quarterfinals because Rina withdrew. Now, I can't actually find why she withdrew, but she has got a return match, so it's all good. She'll be fine. Thank God. Yes, Chris, this was a fucking mess.
Like, I want to tell you take Mayu out early, which makes sense, but then it didn't count. And then she gets thrown over the top anyway, so what did this achieve? And then, like, the stuff with it in the match, I completely forget because I was too busy being confused of why Mayu's still in the fucking match. I understand why I would say attacking, we're still feuding with Stars.
Yep.
But also, why did you have that and then not have it factor into the It's a choice. It doesn't make any sense. And like I'm fine with this particular match being an angle match because it gets Himika through to the next round and it gets Heat on a tie while also protecting Mayu. It would have all worked just fine because we say this a million times. Despite the fact you often get good matches out of them, Stardom tournaments aren't completely about the match quality; they're about the tournament itself. So this would have been great, and also the Heat on a tie would have been big because, like, you're besmirching a prestigious tournament. Only it's not about prestigious this year because they fucked up the format. But then it didn't play into the end. It's a mess. It's a fucking mess, and I don't know how we fucking got a positive score in case match because it's a mess. Oh my god! Like, I'm not being funny. My fucking personal life is less muddled than this. Jesus.
Yeah. Basically, the way that I see it, I mean, Oedo run in twice. The first time they eliminate Mayu, it's not an elimination. They restart the match. The second time they do it, it is an elimination.
The referee's like, I can't. I need to get home.
Can't be fucked with this. Now,
I need to get home, lads. My niece has a violin recital.
Yeah, wrap it up, guys. The only thing that I can think is that the first time it wasn't Himika that actually did the elimination. It was a member of Oedo, whereas the second time, Oedo caused the distraction, but it was Himika that eliminated Mayu. That's the only thing I can think. But why they needed to do it twice, I don't know.
I think this match would have banged more, hit harder if they just had that first elimination be the one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because this match ultimately was there for the post-match, where Oedo continued to beat up Stars until former High Speed and Artist champion Koguma re-debuts as Stars' newest member, which was a really nice moment. We sort of guessed it was going to happen anyway, but to have it happen was great. Tora calls her fat because that's apparently what people in Stardom do now.
I didn't get the chance to rant about the Julia Momo stuff because I fucking hated that too.
Why is this our new de facto thing? Well, you're fat. You can talk. Oh, just stop it. Just stop it.
Having a high-speed person re-debut might be a good idea now that they're looking to move Kid up a bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it gives a new dynamic to Stars. Also, Stars was like basically 50-50 children.
Well, there was only 4 members of Stars. In fact, there's 3 members of Stars. Mayu, Starlight, Hanan.
Yeah, because Ida's gone. Def got stolen.
Jungle's injured.
Jungle's injured. And
Ruaka left. Rena left.
Yeah, 2 of the kids fucking.
Well, they
defected.
do need someone. They do need someone.
And then Cosmic Angel, and also Cosmic Angels happen. So Stars are kind of people just got realizing the Stars are like boring.
They went from being instantly too big to instantly too small.
Yeah, like where they had that fucking weird 3-headed dragon of Tamarisa and Mayu to
Jesus Christ, what
it's basically just a clubhouse with Mayu and Starlight at this point.
Oh, it would have been incredible.
And it's happened so gradually that I only just realised that it's happened. Like at first it was Tam and Mina leaving, then it was the kid. Like it's just happened so like you know when you have like a D&D group or whatever, and then gradually so many people drop off. It's basically just you, a couple other people in the DM, and you're like, huh, it's really dropped off. I wonder what happened to Spartacus.
Just going back to the in-ring action, I know that the We the Tie run-ins, were a little bit nonsensical. It made sense storyline, but, just do it once. There was some decent action that we can talk about. I mean, Himika, fucking hell, that JP Coaster Psycho Driver thing where she drops Mayu right on the crown of her head. Like, Jesus Christ, Mayu, why do you do this?
I think I'd prefer it if Himika did the Burning Hammer, just because I like shouting Burning Hammer.
Well, I just don't want Mayu to land on her head anymore. I don't know how long her neck can stand it.
I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of numb to it at this point.
But then she followed it up with a fucking vicious powerbomb. Like,
yeah, it was like a proper like Kevin Nash, I don't care where you're gonna land powerbomb.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, ultimately Himika progresses to the semi-finals. It's fine the way they've done this. I just wish they'd done one of the Oida Tai run-ins, not done one, not counted it, and then them do it again. It kind of just diluted it. It diluted it when it does actually happen. If it's already happened once in a match, your match is only 6 minutes. It's diluted. Just do it once, and that'll be fine. We then move on to our main event, which is another Cinderella quarter-final match with Unagi Sayaka defeating Syuri at 8 minutes and 40 seconds via over-the-top rope elimination. Go on then, Chris, because I know you're desperate to talk about main event Unagi.
It's a bit of a choice. You see like a big Hurricane card for one of your 2 biggest tournaments of the year. And you're like, you know what we're gonna have like advertised as like the big match. It's gonna be like our biggest match of the night. Unagi, that girl who's had like maybe 2 or 3 good singles matches. Her, yeah, that makes sense. It makes perfect sense. The booking here is flawless, Robert. There's nothing wrong with this on a conceptual level. Nothing at all. Nothing. Stardom's perfect. I don't know what you're bitching about.
I didn't mind this match, to be fair.
The match was fine.
I didn't mind it.
It was too long, though.
It was too long.
It's weird saying about an 8-minute match, but like Unagi's shit kind of gets old after 5.
Basically, you had Unagi who basically jumps the bell to attack Syuri.
And I was kind of hoping that Syuri, being who she is, how like some people, how some people can just drag urgency out of people. Like Minoru Suzuki is a perfect example of this, where he can drag urgency and intensity out of you. Like he managed to drag it out of Sanada, which is
hard.
Yeah, like I don't think he's ever felt an emotion other than meh. Which is coincidentally also my review of most
Sanada matches.
But within that, like Unagi wasn't hitting harder, despite the fact Shiri would have definitely allowed it. She was hitting softer than usual. Like I think on the last podcast, I was noticing some of her offense was looking good. Not in this match. All the good parts of this match were Shiri. She really fucking bumped through her at the end off the apron. It was fine. It was fine. Like, it was inoffensive. I'm not going to rant about it. On a conceptual level, this match is flawed because why is he not... Because Unagi getting a run through the Cinderella would have meant a whole lot of the fucking ton more if it was done over 1 or even 2 days. Because that run can then be condensed. But right now, the run is kind of going a bit unflagged because we're going a month between these fucking Cinderella Tournament shows.
I don't mind him. I'm not going to rant about it. I think you did a wonderful job of that on the last episode, but I don't particularly mind it. Yes, this match went too long. You can argue that the story was basically Shiori getting complacent, beating the shit out of Unagi, and then getting complacent, and that's ultimately why she lost.
Unagi, of course, a winner of an over-the-top battle royal, so it's her specialty.
Exactly.
Quick kayfabe breakers right there.
Ultimately, I didn't hate it. You can argue that it went longer, should I say long, it's 8 minutes, longer because you are looking to Shiori to basically paste Unagi around the ring for a bit to build that babyface fire. But yes, I do agree, it could have been condensed. Ultimately...
I don't think I'd have ranted about it as much if it wasn't a main event.
Yeah, the difficulty was, what potentially they should have done is have Utami and Shiori lower down the card.
Then again, at that point,
the problem is you've got second round matches and quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think also the issue there is you'd then have to have Himika and Mayu, which was worse than this be main event. So there wasn't really a good way to wrap this up, but also, I don't know, I feel there's other ways you could have done it.
You say that though. At least, pardon me, the Mayu match ended with the return of Kaguma.
Yeah, so it could have ended on like a decent moment.
Exactly. You could. Yes, Mayu's been eliminated, but Kaguma's returning. So, and I'm really, really excited for that. That does give us the semi-finals as follows. So the semi-finals that will take place on the 12th of June are Unagi Sayaka versus Maika and Himika versus Saya Kamatani. We talked at the very, very start of the tournament, Chris, about who we thought was going to win. My pick was instantly out because fuck you, Rob. That's why. In Azumi.
Who was my pick again? Shiri?
I think your pick was... I think you said Shiori or Maika.
No, I think I said Shiri, and then I retracted Shiri because I realised that they were building towards Shiri and Utami at thingy, and we were just going to have Shiri beat Utami. So... either way, I don't think I made a backup pick, so our picks are out. If I had to pick from the current field, I would love Saya versus Maika final. I think that would be a good way to put forward the statement of A, young company, and B, that they're two people who Stardom very clearly want to get more behind, which is often what the Cinderella Tournament's been used for over the last few years. So, yeah. And also, it's either that or have fucking Unagi in the final.
Well, no. I don't, yeah. I'd be surprised. She's had the run, she surprised people.
I mostly just don't want it to happen because I openly laughed when a question came up of Unagi winning the tournament.
Yeah, we should apologise to that person. Unfortunately, I can't remember who it was, but we did. And you might be right. So you might have actually done a better job at the pick'ems than us, and we do a podcast on Stardom. So who the fuck are we?
I mean, here's the thing. I still don't think I'd be wrong to laugh. It's like if someone said at the beginning of 2020, hey, Evil's going to be IWGP double champion.
Yeah, nobody fucking saw that coming, did they? Jesus.
Yeah. So, it's not exactly... weird things happen in wrestling when Bushiroad owned you.
Yeah, it's not set in stone by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of people said Saya from the get-go. And if you believe what I do think it's going to be a Saya versus Micah final. I think you've made a good point there, Chris, about them being behind those two. You think about the 10th anniversary and the Budokan show. Stardom made a statement by having Micah main event the 10th anniversary show and Saya then headline Budokan. They're two big statements. To then have both of those in the final, the future of Stardom, it makes perfect sense. It wouldn't surprise me if Micah wins this. The only reason I say that is because Saya has a legitimate claim to the white belt anyway, having eliminated Tam in the first round. Now, that's flimsy reasoning, I understand that. And if Saya wins, don't get me wrong, I am in no way bothered by that at all. Whoever wins, assuming that it is a Saya versus Micah final, whoever wins that, I'm going to be happy with because it is, it's a future pick. If any, the four people that are in the semi-finals, I mean, they're all stars of the future. You look at, except for maybe Unagi, who's 31.
I just realised I can still save my story from before where Utami runs through DDM before losing to Julia. If Himika wins.
That's true.
And then she'd only have to run through Natsupoi, which I think they'd just skip, but she'd run through the original quadruple of DDM, and then Julia will beat Utami. I think that could be good symmetry. It's what they do in a lot of places for faction-based booking. So,
yeah, I wouldn't hate that. Imagine though if Micah wins, then beats Utami, and that's the power struggle in DDM.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure Micah's ready.
I don't think they put it on Micah before they put it on Julia, but. What a fucking
people would have thought that about people would have thought that about Utami and Momo.
That's a good point. That is a good point. But it would be a power struggle, wouldn't it? They've already sown those seeds of it, so it could work. I mean, we're assuming that if Micah wins, she'd go for the red belt. She might go for the white belt.
Yeah, I think they want to break that trend though because it's been the white belt for the last 3 or 4 winners.
Yes.
No, 2 or 3, I think, not 3 or 4.
No, Tony Storm went for the red belt.
But then Arisa went for the white belt and became the best.
Momo went for the white belt. Julia went for the white belt. Yeah, so you're right. Yes. You're right.
Julia had to go for an extra fucking tournament to get that white belt.
It's true. That made no fucking sense whatsoever.
Use your wish, Julia. You have a wish.
Yeah, you have a wish. Your wish can't be just, I want to be in the tournament. Also, what fucking claim did Konami have? And she put forward the idea of the tournament. Fuck you, Konami. No, I won.
That's why she put forward the idea. It's like, well, it's my idea. And if I have the idea, I should be in it. Just, we can all agree on that, right?
Julie was like, no, it's mine. I'm wearing a dress.
To be fair, in retrospect, isn't that how Naito got into the double gold dash because he suggested it?
Because he suggested it, yeah. And then they were like, oh, you have to beat Taichi. Why is Taichi the gatekeeper of that tournament?
Don't you respect that man's fucking name?
Just out of interest, though, talking about that, does that mean if Taichi had beaten Naito, he'd have been in the double gold dash?
Yeah.
Absolute nonsense.
And I saw Forrest Over talk about this, and he made a good point where if Jay White versus Naito and Ibushi versus Okada were just for standalone matches for those belts, no one would have batted the eyelid. So it wasn't a tournament more than it was just for winners the next day.
Yeah. No,
they called it a tournament and ruined it with booking.
Yeah, the booking was flimsy to say the least.
I kind of wish Taichi had won, but
throw a proper spanner in the works, wouldn't it?
I would have loved it. Taichi's a better fucking choice than Evil. Have we gotten to new? Let's move on.
Let's move on. So as we said at the top of the show, it is my fault that we have been away so long, and in our absence, Stardom have run 12 fucking shows. Now, obviously, we're already at the hour and a half mark, so we're not going to be running through all these shows. What we're going to do, though, is from the 17th of April through to the 15th, which are the shows that I've seen not in full, but we're just going to highlight a couple of the matches that we watched, that we enjoyed, that we think you should go out of your way. If you like us, have missed some of the shows, you can go out of your way to go and watch as well. So, obviously, the first thing we want to do, Chris, there was 2 Goddesses of Stardom tag title defenses. The first of which was on the 2nd of May, the Golden Week Night 1. It was the main event, and Julia and Syuri defeated the Queen's Quest team of Azumi and Momo Watanabe in 20 minutes and 12 seconds with the Northern Lights bomb. This was fucking great, Chris.
Yeah, it was kind of just what you'd want from it. Like, the Goddesses straps have been a bit meh this year, haven't they? Hold on, have a look at title matches by year. Yeah, like the first really good match for them was probably this year. Like everything else was kind of
B and Konami.
We started out with B and Konami,
then Himika and Maika.
Their stuff was fine. Himiko and Maika, but like it was fine, but that was mostly an afterthought. Like their Torin and Saki match at Budokan, and then their match with Cosmic Angels, which went 18 minutes for staggering reasons, which I'll never understand. Then they lost that in the main event of Yokohama Cinderella in a boring, overly long, plodding match with a good ending that tricked people into thinking it was good. And then these last 2 matches have been the best matches for the belt all year. So,
oh yeah, 100%, 100%. We spoke about, Chris, the Julia's backdrop suplex. The one she hits on Azumi here, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Also, I'm loving the Northern Lights bomb. It's one of my favorite moves.
Oh, Julia hits it so well.
Yeah, and it helps that she hits it on much smaller people.
Yeah, she
so
has
it looks like they crumple looks like they crumple as soon as they hit the ground. Yeah, this match kind of it's one of those ones where it's just like that's the thing about multi-mans. You don't really need a long runtime. It kind of just needs to bang for a short amount of time, and then everyone can get their shit in, which they did. Here, I'm glad that Syuri dropped the UFC top just because it was a bit on the nose. It's like, oh yes, I've been a cage fighter. What of it? Yeah, again, it's one of those matches where there's not a ton to say because they kind of just dropped each other on their heads for 20 minutes and it led to a fun time.
Yeah, basically, you've got 4 people in the ring that can go, and they brought it.
Yeah, Syuri continues to have amazingly good chemistry with the high-speed people.
Yes, yeah, she does. She proved at Korakuen that she had great chemistry with Azumi, and they displayed that again here. I thought Azumi did really well, and this is going to be a compliment that I pay Starlight Kid a little bit further down the line. Did really well as the babyface under fire from Syuri and Julia. And Julia and Syuri, who, by the way, I believe are referred to as Alto Livello Cabalewan, or ALK. I don't know what that means, but it's ALK, Ulk. So I really enjoyed the fact that the Ulk were separating the ring, cutting Azumi off from tagging Momo back in. The Momo and Julia exchanges were great. Ultimately, like I said before, it is 4 people who slapping. That's literally what it is. It's a great match. Go out of your way to watch it.
It doesn't quite make up for the fucking bill.
Well, no, it doesn't quite make up for the whole Momo's fat thing, which
I still don't like. I remember seeing that, thinking I'm not looking forward to having to cover any of it, and then they go in and it's like they're not really feuding. They just had a tag title match.
It was just a Twitter thing. But I don't want that to permeate every single Stardom feud because I'm sure Tora has had this with somebody else before she did it with Kaguma.
Oh, she called, didn't she call Saki Beansprout?
No, there was something else. There was a different feud where she got called fat. And it's just like, or she called someone fat. And it's just like, come on, we're better than this. Let's not do this again. But yeah.
It's Mojo!
Fat asses.
Fat asses!
Oh, Scott Steiner. Yeah, go out of your way to watch this one. The rest of the card's fine, but just go and check out this match. It's really, really good. Really good. They then had their second defense in Nagoya on the 15th of May at the Nagoya Congress Center in front of 263 people, where they defended and were successful against MK Sisters, with Julia pinning Starlight Kid, again with the Northern Lights bomb that they are building as an indestructible move, which I am a fan of. Chris, for me, Starlight Kid was the standout in this match.
Yeah, she was the babyface in Perov. Most of it, she was very fiery. Her, again, every criticism we had of her this time last year is basically gone. Her offense is no longer weak. She has a bit of a wider variety of moves. She has some kill moves she can pull out in a flash, and yeah, it's just a perfect distillation of her improvement, which is great because she was definitely like the highlight in this match, and this match includes fucking Shuri, Julia, and Mayu. And Mayu's having a bit of a, I guess it makes sense after the year she had last year, but she's having a bit of a low-key year, isn't she? I don't want to say bad because she's not had any bad performances really, but like with the exception of a match with Yoshiko, she's not really got a ton of match of the year contenders under her belt. I
don't think it's a case of
and it's not a case of she's not being pushed to have these great matches, because she had a TAM match. She's been in a fair few big tags like this one. Like I'm not criticizing her, because quite frankly, if she kept going the way she was going in 2020, she'd probably be dead right now. But
yeah, she's been in a lot of multi-mans, hasn't she? This feud with Oida Tai, the feud with Cosmic Angels. It's been more of a team-based feud as opposed to a singles feud. But
yeah,
like you said, the Yoshiko match proved that she can still go with the best of them. So
no, I'm not saying that she can go, and she's just sort of having a almost a rest year.
Yeah, I mean this match was fantastic. I don't know what the fuck was with the blue filter on the hard cam, but it was doing me.
That was weird, wasn't it?
It was. It was one camera though. There was 4 camera angles, and 3 of them were fine. Yeah. So it was so jarring when you got to the wide camera.
Did we just bring the wrong camera?
I think so. Did someone just not take the saran wrap off the lens?
Did someone like lean on the mixing desk it's like the make blue button?
I love the fact that you think that there's a make blue button.
I don't know. There's probably like a color mixing component, and like normally the main colors are like red, green, and blue. So like someone just leaned on blue and it went right up. Maybe that person's just a massive fan of Eiffel.
Maybe. Yeah, this match was great. I actually enjoyed this match more than the Momo AZ versus ALK match.
Same here.
This one I enjoyed just because I made the comparison between Azumi and Starlight Kid earlier. Starlight Kid played the fiery babyface so fucking well. Like, she spent so much time in the ring on her own being cut off from Mayu. She got the shit beaten out of her, but she brought the fire. And the fact that they played on the history between Starlight and Julia and that match at Korakuen, and you've got Starlight basically losing her shit, mounting Julia, slapping her in the face, engaging in these forearm competitions that, you know, she's losing, but she's that fired up that she's doing anyway. There was one moment where she was in the ring on her own with Shuri and Julia, and she was just literally taking it in turns to kick the shit out of them. But then, you know, the numbers advantage takes a hold. She gets hit with the buzzsaw kick and the Northern Lights bomb. But that fiery aggression in her offense is, like you mentioned earlier, it's everything we said we wanted her to have when it came to her offense. That aggressive edge that made it look like it actually hurt. Yeah. And I think she did that here. And I think she did it really, really well. Like I've just said, if you can be a focal point of a match that also contains Shuri, Julia, and Mayu, 2 of which, in fact, all 3 of which are the top, are in the top 5 best workers in the company, and you are the standout, that's fucking good. And it's not because the other 3 sucked either. It's just because they centered the story around Starlight, and I think that worked tremendously. Yeah,
they gave her the platform to be good, and she took it. The one thing is, I mean, comparison between Azumi and Momo, this kind of story wouldn't work as, not Momo, Azumi and Starlight, this wouldn't work as well with Azumi because she's much more stoic. Like, she kind of doesn't change her facial expression very often.
No, it's not. Whereas Starlight, which is weird considering she wears a mask.
Yeah, she's very expressive under that mask, isn't she?
She's a lot more emotive, definitely. A lot more emotive than Azumi.
Which, by the way, is fine. Like,
yeah, totally.
So, like, you need different, but they try to play similar stories here, and it worked better with Starlight.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, like,
matches are tremendous, though.
The highlights of the Queen's Quest match were higher than the highlights of the Stars match, but the Stars match had a better through line.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. Do you prefer the Momo AZ match?
No, I do prefer this one, because Starlight Kid is low-key Stardom wrestler of the year. I'm trying to think who would be better. Maybe Julia, but she's more in terms of character work than actual match quality. Yeah, Tam, yeah, because she carries the Cosmic Angel sides of most of these 6 months. And speaking of...
Well, yeah, just before we go into that, so you preferred...
It would have been such a good transition.
It would have been. Well done. We'll go back to it, I promise. What did you rate these two matches then? We'll start with the Momo Izzy versus...
Well, I gave them both the same score. They're both 3 3/4 for me.
I gave 3 3/4 to Momo Izzy. I gave 4 stars to Starlight and Mayu, for the reason I spoke about before. So, obviously, Chris, you want to talk about the Ode 6 percentile, the Artist of Stardom Championship match. So, we started, our first defense was in the Golden Week tour, night 3, the 5th of May. It was the main event of that show. Oh, no, it wasn't. What am I talking about? I apologize. Please ignore me. I'm looking at the number 1 contender match, which has completely confused me. We'll start with the other one just because I'm here now. So we'll look at the one from Nagoya. Night 2, the 16th of
that's one
I
actually
May.
have stuff to say about. Like the first one's like, it's not good, but it's inoffensive. Like, there's not, like, you're not going to have a great match because at the end of the day you have Unagi, Mina, Def, and Tora in there.
Mm.
So like, there's a lot of elements that can go wrong, and like, honestly, considering who's in there, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Especially since Def is now like the imprisoned clown. It's just, it's more scary somehow. It's like if Mr. Tumble went into a dungeon or something. But the fucking Nagoya match, ew. Like, I'm sorry, but like, why do you keep making Mina and Unagi go long? Why? They're not there yet. And like, this I know it's a lot of the time when when a 6-man goes to a draw. DDM's on one side of it, and it's because they don't want, and it's because DDM don't have a pin eater. Like, you have either champions in there, or Himika, who's a beast, or Micah, who's a beast, only slightly shorter. And like, they don't have enough in their repertoire to make half an hour interesting. There was some good stuff in here, like Tam and Natsupoi's rivalry. Like, they work fairly distinctly together, and I like that. That was good in here, but why 30-minute draw? Why not have someone fucking lose? Have someone. No one gets over in this situation. No one looks good coming out of this, and it's not even a case of, oh no, time limit draw. They're not going as crazy with time limit draws as they used to. Jesus. But it's like, I complain about length a lot, and it could lead people to think I hate long matches. When in reality, if I hated long matches, I'd fucking hate Goji Izaki's reign. The problem is, you need to look at who you have and decide whether or not that's going to make for a compelling half-hour match, which, I'm sorry, if Mina Shirakawa and Unagi Sayaka are in there, it's probably not going to lead to a very compelling 30-minute match. Honestly, when it comes to trusting people in this match to go 30 minutes, I don't trust any of them to go 30. You have Himika, who works best in short bursts. You have Natsupoi, who works short, explosive matches. You have Micah, who's one match who went remotely long as a singles match fell flat for me. You have Tam, who has never had a good long match. All her good matches are relatively short. Like, the one match I can think of what I've heard that went really long was the Julia match in, I believe it was the tournament, and that fucking sucked. And then you have Mina and Nagi who are still basically learning. The decision to go 30 minutes baffled me here, and it's awful because I realised that as soon as I saw the runtime on World, and just there was no. If you weren't going to have someone go over, book someone different in this fucking match.
Yeah, they booked themselves into a corner, really, don't they, by putting them against Donna Del Mondo, because you've got Himeka, who's in the semi-finals. You've got Natsupoi, who's a champion. You've got Mayu, who's in the semi-finals of the Cinderella Tournament. You want to keep them strong, but, you know, you obviously don't want to change the titles yet. But again, you're absolutely right. If that's the case, don't book them on the same... Don't book them. Don't book it. But
I think that's the problem with Stardom. One thing we don't really have is like the roster depth for a 6-man championship, because basically you just need to run through factions at that point, and they've run through Stars and Queen's Quest already, and Oeditai. So all they had left were DDM because they can't fight themselves.
Yeah, that's true. Just another couple of matches that are worth checking out. I'm not going to give you a load of notes for them. They're just matches that I'd actively encourage you to go and check out. From the 5th of May, which was the Stardom Golden Week Tag 3 or Night 3, Natsupoi and Mina Shirakawa put on a really, really good match. Go and check that out. Far better than you'd think it was going to be. And then the main event, the Goddess of Stardom number 1 contendership 4-way match, where Mayu and Starlight Kid get the chance to go on and face ALK. Them versus Cosmic Angels, Tam Nakano, Yanagi, Oeditai, Konami, and Tora, and Aphrodite. Go and check that out as well. Another really, really good match, worth your time. And then finally, I just want to bring this match, which was from Hamamatsu on the 24th of April. I know we're going back quite a bit. There's a 3-way match between Azumi, Mayu, and Momo. Now, it ends in a triple count-out at 10 minutes, which is extremely disappointing. But up until the triple count-out, the match itself, the in-ring action, is really, really good. So if you can look past the triple count-out finish, which is extremely anticlimactic, still go and check out this 3-way. It's a low-key match. It's a low-key, really good match, and I'm sure you can understand that when you look at who is in the match.
Silly Billy, low-key isn't in Stardom.
So, last couple of things. So we've looked at Golden Week. Let's look ahead to some of the cards that have been announced. The show from the 5th of June from Nagata, we have got Kaguma versus Lady C in Kaguma's in-ring return. We have got Maika versus Mina Shirakawa versus Saki, and Saki's in-ring return, so that's good to see. We have got Tam and Unagi versus Azumi and Sayaka Matane. The match that I'm most excited about on this card, MK Sisters versus Momo and Utami. That should be a really, really good match. And then we close with 6-woman tag action, Julia Syuri and Natsupoi versus Natsuka Tora, Konami, and Ruaka. The 6th of June from Kanazawa, we have got Momo versus Lady C, Azumi versus Kaguma versus Ruaka. We have got another great tag match, MK Sisters versus Julia and Natsupoi. That should also be very good. Another great tag match, Aphrodite versus Syuri and Maika. Should be good. And then Tam, Mina, and Unagi versus Tora, Saki, and Konami. We've then got the card for the Korakuen Hall show on the 8th of June. Got the Future of Stardom tournament first round between Rina and Hina. This is Rina's in-ring return.
The Mega Twins explode.
The Mega Twins explode. Nice. We've then got 2 quarterfinal bouts between Hanan and Unagi. And then Mina versus the winner of Rina and Hina. On the rest of the card, we've got a 4-way Tam versus Azumi versus Konami versus Lady C. 6-woman tag action.
Taking the pin of that one.
Yeah, yeah, they do. They do sort of telegraph that, don't they? 6-woman tag: Mayu, Kid, and Kaguma versus Natsuko Tora, Saki Kashima, and Ruaka. Further 6-woman tag: Queen's Quest, Momo, Utami, and Sayaka Matane versus Julia, Shiori, and Maika. That could be very good. And then we close with High Speed Championship defense: Poi versus Fukiken Death. On that Korakuen card, then, Chris, anything that titillates you, gets your juices flowing, if you know what I mean.
You're a disgusting man, Goodwin.
Just okay. Thanks.
That high-speed match looks fun.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going off what Death Yamasan and Natsupoi managed to do in the short time they had in the Hanakimura Memorial show, they put on a really, really good little exchange. So, yeah, should be quite good there. Anything else?
Rena for Future of Stardom Champion.
Rena is not winning the Future of Stardom Championship. Much as I hate to disappoint you.
You can't prove that.
Well, I must admit, considering we said Unagi's not winning and now she's in the semi-final, maybe we should jump to conclusions.
Stardom is an awful, evil company.
Finally, then, so obviously I said before that the Tokyo Dream Cinderella show, which was supposed to be the 29th of May, the Ota City Gym cancelled it. They've moved it to the 12th of June, which is a Sunday, I believe. Let's have a look. It is a Saturday. So it's a Saturday.
Is this going to be airing on, what's it called, Samurai TV?
I don't know yet.
I hope so.
I hope so as well. It was nice when we did that last time.
I enjoy watching them live.
Yeah, if you are not yet part of our Discord, go and join our Discord. And we have, whenever they're on Samurai, we have little watch-alongs and we talk to each other through it. It's good
fun. For some reason, despite the Discord being around for over a year now, I still haven't been made a mod. But
well, I've seen the kind of shit that you do, so are you surprised?
What do you mean the kind of shit I do?
You know what I mean.
No, I don't know what you mean. Is this still about Toy Story?
Fucking Toy Story 2. The tickets there's no ticket information as of yet as to sellouts or anything, so I assume tickets are still available. In terms of a card, there is one match still to be announced, so we don't know what that is going to be yet. We've got a special...
Hina versus Rena for the Future of Stardom Championship.
I imagine it's the Future of Stardom Championship final. I imagine. There is a special 3-way tag match. Julia and Natsupoi versus Momo AZ versus Tam and Mina. So maybe it won't be the Future of Stardom Championship match. Oh no, it can't be, can it? Because Unagi's in the Cinderella semi, so it can't be that.
She could pull double duty.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
I mean, I don't know what evil person would wish that upon Unagi or the viewing audience.
Double duty Unagi?
Yeah, like fucking trying to pull a fucking Bret Hart in King of the Ring.
No. We've then got Stars versus Oedatai, the latest installment in their all-out war, with the Stars team of Mayu, Starlight Kid, Hanan, and Kaguma, plus X. Now, whether that is a new person or a returning person, I don't know. It just says X.
Maybe it's Yuma Aoyagi.
Why do you say that?
Honestly, just because I kind of want to hear a song on a Stardom show.
But it's the same with Oedatai, Natsuko Tora, Konami, Fukigen Death, and Ruaka and X. So whether that is Saki Kashima or not, I don't know.
Will Ospreay. Yeah, he's left New Japan to go to Stardom.
Toa Hanare. World of Stardom Championship match, Shiori versus Utami. And then we've got the 2 Cinderella Tournament semi-finals. Unagi versus Himika and and Maika versus... No, it's not. What am I talking about? It's Maika versus Unagi and Himika versus Saya. And then obviously we've got the final as well.
Prediction for that, Okan's going to do a running.
You're getting tired, aren't you? Let's wrap this up. You need to get yourself to bed, I think. So,
It's 4:00 in the afternoon.
We'll be back, hopefully, to run through that Korakuen show. Hopefully, we will be able to do a show before we do our review of the Tokyo Dream Cinderella show. Thank you so much for listening, guys. You can find us wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe. Leave us a comment, 5-star review. It really does help us out. Don't forget to check out the website, www.podmania.co.uk, for all our archived podcast episodes. Make sure to join the Discord. It's a great place to get acclimatized to Stardom if you're a new fan, or just to talk random Stardom shit if you're more of a veteran. Don't forget to check out the website. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter at the StardomCast. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Christopher, where can they find you?
At John Cena is a coward.
Is that even a real Twitter handle?
No, but I kind of wish it was.
And we'll talk to you guys again soon.